Hello friends, welcome in another session of Human Anatomy and Physiology. Our today's point of discussion is ear or hearing. Hearing receptors are 1000 times more faster than the photoreceptors which are occurs for vision. Hearing and the equilibrium are accompanied by the ear. There is eighth cranial nerve cochleovestibular which is responsible for hearing, whereas in vision there are three cranial nerves are involved. Now here for ear there are three parts are occurs in ear. In that first is external ear, middle ear and internal ear. This ear can be divided into three parts. Here you can see this is the external part, this is the middle ear part, and this is the last one, the internal ear. But these all parts are involved into the hearing process. Without these all parts, hearing is very difficult. External ear. If you will see external ear, the whatever part which you can see from external side, it is called external ear. External ear includes pinna, which is also called as auricle. This is the pinna. This canal, auditory canal, and this tympanic membrane or eardrum. So these three parts include this external ear. Auricle or pinna, this one is a flap of elastic cartilage shaped like a flared end of trumpet. It is just look like trumpet, the musical instrument which you are used to develop the music or sound, and covered by skin. Here you can see the skin is there. The rim of auricle is helix. Here the rim of auricle is called as helix. The inferior portion, this portion is called as lobule. Ligaments and muscle attach to the auricle, to the head. The external auditory canal, this one is curved tube. This is the curved tube about 2.5 centimeter. Its length is near about 2.5 centimeter long and lies in the temporal bone. It lies into this is a temporal bone. This one lies into the temporal bone and leads to the eardrum, and it goes toward this to the eardrum. The tympanic membrane or eardrum, this one, this is a tympanic membrane or eardrum. This one, this is the tympanic membrane. This one, it is also called as eardrum. Is a thin semi-transparent partition. It is nothing but a partition between the middle ear and external ear. It divides both between the external auditory canal and the middle ear. The tympanic membrane is covered by epidermis. It is covered by the epidermis and lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. Between the epithelial layers is connective tissue composed of collagen, elastic fibers and fibroblast. Tearing of tympanic membrane is called as perforated eardrum. This is the perforated eardrum. The tympanic membrane may be examined directly by an otoscope. OTOSCOP, otoscope. Here again you can see this is the tympanic membrane. Here you can see the eardrum separates external ear from middle ear. Near the exterior opening, the external auditory canal contains a few hairs and specialized sweat glands. At this point you will find few hairs are here, and it also supplied by the specialized sweat glands, and that specialized sweat glands are called as ceruminous glands. CERUMINOUS, ceruminous glands. And here at this portion, at the wall of your canal, the ceruminous glands locates, and these are secreting earwax, some sticky substance which can already adhere to your wall of your canals. So it is called as earwax or cerumen, cerumen, cerumen. It is a combination of hair and cerumen. It helps. What is its importance? Its role? It helps prevents dust and foreign objects from entering into the air. It won't allow any insect or any dust particle to directly enter into your ear. Cerumen also prevents damages to the delicate skin of external ear canal by water or insects. So no any insects or water that can directly enter into your ear. Some people are having habit to enter water into your ear. It is very bad habit or bad practice. They should not do it, because you should not enter anything from external sources inside your ear. It can damage your eardrum, it can damage your internal part of your ear. Now middle ear. If you see middle ear, it is having several parts like step bones, incus, malleus, eardrums and interstitial tube. These are all are collectively called as middle ear. It is a small air-filled cavity in a pectorous portion of the temporal bone that is lined by epithelium. It separates from external ear by this tympanic membrane. It's separated by the tympanic membrane, and from the internal ear by a thin bony partition that contains two small membrane covered openings, an oval window and the round window. Two windows are here, an oval window and the round window. Extending across the middle ear and attached to it by ligament are three smallest bones in the body, the auditory ossicles, which are connected by the synovial joints. The bones named as malleus, incus and stapes bones. As we all know, this is the smallest bone of our body, stapes. So these all are the small bones. Out of them, this one is the smallest bone, stapes bones. In KBC also this question has been asked regarding this step bones. Now whereas you will see, if you see, these bones are also having another names, by commonly they are called as, this malleus is called as hammer, this incus is called as anvil, anvil, and this step bone is called as stripper, strip, stirrup. The handle of malleus, this handle of malleus, if you see here, this handle of malleus is attached to the internal surface of tympanic membrane. Here you can see it has been attached to the internal surface of tympanic membrane. The head of the malleus, this head of this malleus articulates with the body of incus. Here you can articulate with the body of incus. Here you can see, with incus it can be articulates. The incus, the middle bone of series, articulates with the head of the stapes. Here this is the stapes, it articulates with, it combines with the head of the stapes. The base or foot plate of the stapes fits into the oval window. Here these stapes can be fit into the oval window. There are two windows, one is oval window and another is round window. So in the oval window, this foot of the steps will completely fit into the oval window. Directly below the oval window is another opening, it is called round window, which is enclosed by the membrane called secondary tympanic membrane. From the external ear, external auditory meatus or canal covered by tympanic membrane. From the inner ear, oval window, steps fits here, completely it fixed here and covered by the membrane. Round window, it is covered by the membrane. From the eustachian tube, direct opening into the middle ear from the throat behind the nose. That's why sometimes if you are taking a ear drop, sometimes that secretion may come, that feeling will be there, they can enter into your throat. That's why that typical taste you can taste at your throat, either it may be bitter or any sort of taste, whatever eardrop you are instilling into your ear, so it can enter into your throat. Due to this, eustachian tube directly open into your throat behind the nose. Function: equalize pressure in middle ear. It maintains the pressure into your middle ear. From the masted sinus located in the masted process, the temporal bones are there. Now here you can see this is the middle ear, where you can correctly understand what is the location of this malleus. This is the incus, which is the second part of your these three bones, and third is steps, which directly attached to the oval window. Here you can see it fixed into the oval window. These are called as auditory ossicles. And whereas this malleus is directly attached with the eardrum or tympanic membrane. Here it is called external auditory meatus or canal, which is of 2.5 centimeter. This is the temporal bone. In between temporal bone, this canal flows. Yes, this is the steps, which is the smallest bone of our body. And this is the round window, which is membranous, which contains membrane. And this is the auditory tube. This auditory tube, also called as pharyngotympanic tube. This is the auditory tube. Now inner ear. Inner ear is also very important in case of development of our sound. So whatever sound is going to be developed, it will start from our external ear, from the eardrum or tympanic membrane. Now it goes into your middle ear, and after that it will go into your inner ear. Now inner ear is composed of bone, bony labyrinth, and the membrane, membranous labyrinth. There are two types of labyrinth are there, bony and second is membranous labyrinth. The bony labyrinth is series of cavities in the petrous portion. It is a series of cavities in the petrous portion of the temporal bone, divided into three areas. One is semicircular canals. These are the semicircular canals, and the vestibule. This is the vestibule part here, vestibule, and the cochlea. This is the snail shape part. It is called as cochlea. The bony labyrinth is peristeum and contains perilimb. So it contains the perilimb, the fluid which chemically similar to the cerebrospinal fluid surround the membranous labyrinth. Yes, a series of epithelial sacs and tubes inside the bony labyrinth that have the same general form as bony labyrinth and house the receptors for hearing and equilibrium. They are having the receptors for hearing and equilibrium. There are more than 16,000 hairs are available for the receptors, for reception of hearing receptors. The epithelial membranes labyrinths contain the endolymph. The level of potassium ions in endolymph is usually high for the extracellular fluid. If you see this bony labyrinth, it contains vestibule, cochlea, and semicircular canals. There are three semicircular canals. Now vestibule. What is vestibule? It is the central part. It is the oval central portion of the bony labyrinth. It is the oval. This is the central part. This vestibule. The membranous labyrinth in the vestibule consists of two sacs called utracle, utricle, utracle, and the saccule, saccule, utracle and saccule. Here you can see this is the utracle and this is the saccule. These are the two parts. Saccules, which are connected by a small ducts projecting superiorly and posteriorly from the vestibule, are the three only semicircular canals. There are three semicircular canals which you can see here. See also, hear also, and try to understand also what I am telling, and try to recall also what we are discussing here. There are one, two, three semicircular canals, end of which lies at approximately right angles to one to the other, means it is right angle, it is 90-degree angle to one to the another. Based on their positions, they are named as anterior, posterior and lateral. This is anterior, this is posterior, and this is the lateral. There are the three types of semicircular canals are available. The anterior and posterior semicircular canals are vertically oriented. These two are vertically oriented. The lateral one is the horizontal. Lateral one is the horizontally oriented. At one end of each canal is swollen enlargement called ampulla. The portion of membranous labyrinth that is lie inside the bony semicircular canal are called as semicircular duct. These structures connects with the utricle, utricle, utricle of the vestibules. Now here you can see. Now cochlea. This is the endolimb. This is the utricle, vestibule parts. This is the cochlea parts. These semicircular canals. Now second is cochlea. This one, it is the snail shaped part. Anterior to the vestibule is the cochlea. This one, cochlea part. It is a bony spiral canal that resembles a snail shape. It is just like a snail's shell. Shell is there, snail shape that you saw already. It is look like that, and makes almost 3 turns. Yes, 1, 2 and 3. Almost 3 turns are there. You will find 3 turns are there like a snail. So it makes almost 3 turns around a central body core called as modiolus. Central body part is there, it is called as modiolus, modiolus, modiolus. Sections through cochlea reveals that it is divided into 3 channels. So this is having 3 channels. One is cochlear duct, second is scala vestibuli, and third is scala tympani. There are 3 channels: cochlear duct, scala vestibuli and scala tympani. So these 3 parts are here. Here also you can see cochlear duct, which is required for containing hearing receptors. So whatever the hearing process is there, especially it can be done by that receptors. So it contains this cochlear duct, scala media, scala vestibuli and scala tympani. The channel above the cochlear duct is called scala vestibuli, which ends at the oval window. The channel below the scala tympani is end into the round window. Here you can see. And again, if you will see, the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani are completely separated by the cochlear duct, except the opening of apex of cochlea. It is called as helicotrema. 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 Now Now we have discussed cochlea. Also I discussed the semicircular canals. There are 3 canals and vestibule. There are 4 regions: atrial, saccule, these 2 within the vestibule, which we already discussed, contains equilibrium receptors. What they contain? They contain the equilibrium receptor, which is responsible for maintenance of our equilibrium, our balance. The cochlear duct within the cochlea, they contain the hearing receptor. They are required for our hearing purpose, sound hearing. And membranous semicircular canals within the semicircular canals, they also contains equilibrium receptors. Means these membranous semicircular canals and atrial and saccule, these 3 parts contains the equilibrium receptor, which we require for our balancing. Here you can see the cochleovestibular nerves, which is the 8th cranial nerve, which is responsible, which plays a vital role for hearing. So from that cochleovestibular, the vestibular nerves enter into your vestibular part, and the another branch from this cochleovestibular, the cochlear nerve, they are entering into the cochlear part here, and from here they are capturing the signals in the form of their impulses, the hearing impulses, the wavelength impulses can be developed, they can be converted into the electrical impulses, and the formation of sound will be there, and that sound waves that converted into the electrical impulses, they can be transferred through these nerves, through this cochleovestibular nerve, and they are going towards our cortex area. Now here it is called oval window. This is the cochlea part. Here the semicircular canals, which are right angle to one by the another. These 2 are nothing but they are called as anterior and posterior, and this is the horizontal, which is called as the lateral semicircular canals. Now if you see fluid, which fluid they contains, here you can see they contains the endolimb. What is endolimb? Which is located within the membranous labyrinth. There are 2 labyrinth, one is membranous and another is a bony labyrinth. So within the membranous labyrinth they contain the endolimb. Here inside this they are containing the endolimb, which is within the membranous labyrinth, and between this membranous labyrinth and the bony labyrinth there is the perilimb. Here perilimb. What is perilimb? Located between the membranous and the bony labyrinth. In between both the labyrinth, this is the bony external and internal, this is membranous labyrinth. Whatever space is there, that space is occupied by this perilimb. So perilimb is there available into this space. Here you can see these are the cochlear ducts are here, the tentorial membrane is here, the basal membrane is here, and these are the hair cells. As we have already discussed, there are more than 16,000 hair cells and supporting cells are available in the form of receptors for hearing, and there is a role of various membrane like tentorial membranes, basal membranes, and the supporting cells. They are having great role for hearing, and the receptors which are required for the hearing purpose. The tectorial membrane, a flexible gelatinous membrane, covers the hair cells of the spiral organ, and in fact if you see the end of the stereocilia, this end of this stereocilia of the hair cells are embedded in the tectorial membrane, while bodies of hair cells rest on the basilar membrane. So in this fashion they are involved into the receptors which are signaling for information of hearing, sound waves they are collecting from here and they are transferring towards the nerves the cochlear nerve, respective nerve. Now functions. What are the functions? They are having main functions of hearing. Sound waves must be projected from the external environment into the cochlear duct of the internal ear. Contains hearing receptors. If you see, these sound waves are developed from the sounds, and these sound waves are measured in the form of hertz. And if you see the sound waves which we can hear from 20 to 20,000 hertz, the sound waves can be heard. But there is the intensity of these sound waves can be developed in the form of vibrations, and these sound waves are and their intensity can be measured in the form of decimals, decibels, decibels, they are also called as dB, decibels. So if you see the decibels, the whatever the sounds, for example the rustling leaves are having decibels of 15, at 15 decibels we are able to hear them, and the sound of the whispered speech is having 30 decibels, and the normal conversion means whatever normally we are talking with our friends, it is having the sound of 60 decibels. Whatever the vacuum cleaner or mixer which is in our home, so they are having sound of 75 decibels. And whatever the shouting or any loud sound which are uh, during our speech, or any loud sound during fighting also, so that is having the decimal of 80. And whatever the motorbike or any car, motor vehicles or jackhammer, they are having the sound of 90 decibels. And up to the 120 decibels we can hear, we are having no problem. But if it crosses the 140 decibels, it will be painful, and lots of pain will be there developed to the ear, and it can develop into the deafness also if we will continuously practicing that sort of decibels. So we should not hear more than 140 decibels sound. Now projection of sound waves. How the projection of sound waves occurs means in actually how the hearing process occurs, that we can see here. That is also very important, as we have discussed regarding the various parts of our ear, how they locates, what are their functions. Here also our role to understand how the formation of sound develops and how that hearing process occurs. So projection of sound waves, in simply if you can see, in first step ear, external ears, from the external ears through the ears the sound waves enters into our ear, and into the middle ear the bone, they are doing their functions like that malleus, incus and steps, they are vibrating, they are doing their functions. And third, the inner ear, there are two fluids are there, that perilymph and the perilymph is there and another is there. So these two types of fluid are involved into our process of hearing. So in this fashion they are having major role into the hearing. Now step by step we can see and we can understand here. Now in the first, vibration creates, whatever the sound waves, they are exposed to our ears, they are strike on our ear. So in the first step the auricle directs sound waves into the external auditory canal. Now in the second step, when the sound waves strike the tympanic membrane, they are strike on tympanic membrane, the alternating waves of high and low pressure in the air cause the tympanic membrane to vibrate back and forth. The sound waves pass through the external ears, so they traverse to the ear and they pass through the middle ear. Now as they passes the tympanic membrane, they pass to the middle ear. The central area of tympanic membrane connect to the malleus, which is the part of the middle ear. So the tympanic membrane connects to the malleus, which vibrates along with the tympanic membrane. This vibration is transmitted from the malleus to the incus and then to the steps. Means they are tympanic membrane, they are connecting to the malleus. Malleus start to vibrate. From the malleus, it transmits that vibrating information to the incus, and from the incus it transfers that vibration to the steps. Now next step, as the steps move back and forth, steps are moving back and forth, they are developing the vibrations. Its oval shaped foot plate, which is attached via ligament to the circumference of the oval window, vibrates in the oval window. The movement of step at the oval window set up fluid pressure. It developed the fluid pressure waves in the perilymph. So into a perilymph, it developed that fluid pressure. Now from here, there is the role of our internal ear starts. They travel through the bone, and as they passes through the inner ear, they travel through the fluid. Now fluid means perilymph. Perilymph is a major fluid which is responsible for development of, and not only development but also carrying of that sound waves from one part to the another part. So perilymph to the cochlea. As the oval window bulges inward, it pushes on the perilymph of the scala vestibuli. Pressure waves are transmitted from the scala vestibuli to the scala tympani. That whatever the pressure waves has been developed by the perilymph into the cochlea, so that can be transferred from scala vestibuli to the scala tympani. So from the scala vestibuli to the scala tympani, they can be transferred. The pressure waves travel through the perilymph of the scala vestibuli, then vestibular membrane, and then move into the endolymph inside the cochlear duct. So and lastly they will enter into the endolymph of the cochlear, first into the perilymph, after that cochlea, and from cochlea they are developing the pressure, and from the developing the pressure they are transferring from the scala vestibuli through the perilymph, and they are moving toward the cochlear duct into the endolymph. And the pressure waves in the endolymph causes basilar membrane to vibrate. So finally that basilar membrane, this is the basilar membrane, is start to vibrate, which is inside your cochlea, which moves the hair cells. So the hair cells are attached to here, which moves that hair cells of the spiral organ against the tectoral membrane. Against this tectoral membrane, this is tectoral membrane, and this is the basilar membrane. Against this, the hair waves are, these sound waves are developing vibrations, pressure vibrations through this endolymph, and they are vibrating the hairs. And these hairs are nothing but the receptor. There are more than 16,000 hair receptors are available here, and they are collecting that sound waves, they are identifying that sound waves, and they are developing that into the information. They are generating the impulses, and they are carry forwarding towards the ganglia, and from ganglia they are moving towards your nerve, cranial nerves. So this leads to the bending of the stereocilia, and ultimately to the generation of nerve impulses in first order neuron in the cochlear nerve fibers. And sound waves of various frequencies causes certain regions of the basilar membrane to vibrate more intensely than other regions. So in this fashion the sound waves can be developed. From here tympanic membrane, it will give rise to the malleus, this part, after that incus, and here the steps start to vibrate. After its vibration, it give rise to the next part of our internal ear, which is the perilymph is available here. So the perilymph will generate the the pressure. After that, the cochlea is going to be develop that information, the vibration. It carry forward that pressure toward the scala vestibuli, and after that scala tympani, and after scala vestibuli and tympani, they will enter into the basilar membrane here, into the endolimb. From the perilimb, now they will develop the vibration to the pressure into your basilar membrane, into your endolimb, and into the endolimb they are moving between these two layers. It is that tectically membrane and this the basilar membrane. Here it is the hairs of organs of Corti. This is the hairs of cells of organs of Corti, and here they are vibrating, and in this fashion they are give rise to the stimuli to this hair which are 16,000, more than 16,000 hairs are available here. They are in the form of the receptors, and they are developing the signals to these nerves, to these cranial nerves, to this cochlear nerve, and they are carrying the information. So in this fashion the hair waves, the hearing process occurs. These waves are formed. The movement of the fluid to the inner ear stimulates the hearing receptors. Here inside the hearing receptors are there. They are stimulating the hearing receptors into the cochlear duct, and also their mechanoreceptors are there. Means the here mechanoreceptors means if any sound wave is going to be exposed to your eardrum, mechanoreceptors, and here the receptors, the hearing receptors are here. Yes, so it is a perilimb at the cochlea part where the pressure start to develop. It is developing that vibration. That vibration going to be get converted into the pressure vibration, and after that again this is the cochlear nerve, means lastly cochlear nerve. So from this part they will develop that vibration into the this perilimb part. From perilimb part they will go into the endolimb part, and from endolimb part they will go into your finally into your nerve. So in this fashion the journey of our sound waves occurs. In this fashion the sound waves has been developed. Now conduction of nerve impulses along with the cranial nerves number 8 to the auditory area of cerebral cortex. Once the hearing receptors are stimulated, the nerve impulses are conducted along cranial nerve 8 to the auditory area of cerebral cortex. So this is the nerve which is responsible, the cranial nerve 8 number, which is responsible for your hearing process. This is the auditory nerve. This is cochlear and the vestibular. That's why in combination they are called as vestibulocochlear nerve, which is at 8 number. They are collecting the information from both the types of or both the parts of the ear. And finally they are transferring that information to the cerebral cortex. So in the cerebral cortex the hearing region is there in cerebral cortex. That hearing region is responsible for interpreting the hearing sound. Here we are interpreting the hearing sound. Here we are memorize the hearing sound. We are recognizing the hearing sound, that this is the sound of Amitabh Bachchan, this is the sound of Lata Mangeshkar, this is the sound of Sachin Tendulkar. So we are able to identify correctly the correct perfect sound of that typical person. So we are storing of all the sound information into our cerebral cortex here, and whenever that same sound will come, so immediately from the motor area we are recognizing and we are giving information to our body. So our brain immediately taking actions that this is that area, and they are recognizing, they are identifying the typical sound. Now equilibrium, it is also important part or important function of our ear, maintaining our equilibrium, our balance. Position changes to the head. The stimulation for maintaining the series of equilibrium is the head position. So how we are maintaining that head position? It can be maintained by our ear. Here the atricle and saccules, so they are having major role into maintenance. So maintenance of our head position, how we are maintaining our balance. So they are the hair from this area, and they are taking the informations from the surroundings, and they are giving that orders to our brain that this is the condition of our body, and they are identifying, and they are giving order to our body to maintain their balance. So position has been assigned, position has been understood, position has been completely sensualized. So in this fashion they are maintaining our equilibrium of our head position, and position changes to the head set in the motion of fluid in the inner ear. Now again atricle and saccules, so whatever gymnastic we are doing, so our ear, that atricle and saccules, they are maintaining our balance. Means some people are walking on this bicycle, they are doing uh, various sort of exercises, they are on one leg or one hand, they are maintaining their balance. In yoga also lots of steps, lots of positions they are holding where they have to maintain their balance. So it occurs, the equilibrium only occurs due to this part of our ear, atricles, saccules. The equilibrium receptors in atricles and saccules most important in the statics for equilibrium. So without this area it is just impossible to maintain our balance. So these gymnastics in the Olympic also, you already saw how they are maintaining their balance when they are running or they are doing the various jumps. So still they are able to maintain their body balance, they are maintain their head position still. So it occurs due to these hair cells which are occurs into our utensil parts and the saccule parts, where they are signalizing the positions of our body, and they are giving the proper direction to maintain their equilibrium, to maintain their balance. Here the semicircular canals, there are 3 canals, so these are also having great role to maintain our balance, to holding our position into the maintain level. So they are also having the nerve cells, they are also having the hairs which are signalizing, they are collecting the information from the surroundings, and they are taking the proper they are taking the proper directions, they are giving proper direction to the body how to maintain our positions, and they are signalizing the correct information to maintain the balance. Equilibrium receptors in the membranous SC channels, most SC means semicircular channels, there are 3 channels are there, 1 2 3. One is vertical is there, and this one is lateral, and this one is the middle. So 3 types of semicircular canals are there. So these canals are most important in the dynamic equilibrium. Whatever the equilibrium, whatever the balance we are maintaining, they are having great role into our equilibrium. One is semicircular canals and another is atricles and saccules. These are the 2 parts which are responsible for our maintenance of our balance and equilibrium. And stimulation of equilibrium receptors for cranial nerves 8. So here the atricles and saccules, the hair cells are there, so they are collecting the information from the hair cells, and movement of fluid of the inner ear stimulates the equilibrium receptors of atricle, saccules and membranous semicircular canals. So the hairs, they are collecting the information of the surroundings, and they are signalizing, they are understanding, interpreting these parts, and they are try to understanding, they are maintaining their equilibrium along with this cranial nerve 8, vestibulocochlear nerve. Conduction of nerve impulses along the cranial nerve 8 to cerebellum and skeletal muscle. Once equilibrium receptors are stimulated, nerve impulses are conducted along cranial nerve 8 to the cerebellum and skeletal muscle. So along with these sacules and that ventricles, along with the semicircular canals, cerebellum is also another part of our brain which is responsible for maintenance of our balance. So this part of brain is also having great role into our balance, maintenance of balance. So they are signalizing the sensory cortex and the motor cortex and the sensory organs, means from the ear, the whatever the sensory receptor, they are going towards the cerebrum, and they are taking the uh, they are they're taking the decisions. They are decision makers here, brain. They are taking the decisions along with the sensory cortex, and they are giving order along with the motor cortex. They are giving order to the muscle where they have to stand, where they have to land. So that typical decision can be made by our brain, means cerebellum and our cerebral cortex. So in this fashion our body is going to be balanced. If we will start to fall down, so immediately the action can be taken by these parts. First it will start from the sacules and the ventricles and our semicircular canals. They are giving information, the sensory organ giving information towards our cerebral cortex and cerebellum, and they are taking the actions by interpreting all the information, and they are giving order to the muscles how to maintain the balance, where we have to land, where you have to hold our muscles. So in this fashion there is very important functions of equilibrium and balance which occurs in our brain. So in this fashion we have covered the today's topic. I hope you understood the topic. If you have any queries, you can put the questions into the box. So here I will stop and I will complete this lecture.